Al-Hajj. Golden bracelets, leg anklets, earrings, all the gold jewelry you own, they stole them. Alb. El-Have. Except. She started screaming and crying, and said to those who gathered around her, I left the house to visit my neighbor on the occasion of her return from Hajj, after I closed the wardrobe door in the outer house door. When I came back, they closed as I found the outside door. I left it, but I found the cupboard door open, and the expensive jewelry had it all disappeared from him. Then she came back screaming, Don't tell the goblins. The thief jumped from the roofs of the neighboring houses and entered from the inner courtyard. The village barber, Usta Shalabi, shouted, Very cold. This is the third robbery in 1 month. If the thief had fallen under the razor that I was flying with, it would have been his end. And the grocer, Al-Muqaddas Barsoum, said, It is certain that the thief is one of the people of knows the owners of golden jewelry, and knows where they hide them. If I caught him, I would cut him off and send him in Caritas. The people who stood and exchanged looks of worry and confusion. The village was safe. The doors were always open, and the windows were not closed by anyone, and when the thefts were repeated, with stories of the goblins, they closed the windows and doors, but here the thefts continue. Salem, the owner of the irrigation machine, who stole the thieves' gold. His wife, We will not be able to sleep safely after today, unless we know the thief and arrest him. Let's tell the mayor. Before the owner of the irrigation machine, the barber, and the grocer's fees and the benefit of the grocer's fees, he asked him while trying to calm him down. What is wrong with you, Hussein? Did Hussein answer excitedly. My father traveled to the Magaga Center to audit the accounts, then lowered his voice, saying in a tone that carries a serious meaning, My mother. The owner of the stolen gold, and the rest of the crowd, Hussein, the son of the clerk of the Agricultural Association whom Hussein answered hastily, frightened of losing time. The family that has been born for my mother's forearm since the afternoon, but it is asking for help in my case is useful, because the situation is a settlement. Rawa Barsoum al-Khal felt the danger threatening the life of Hussein's mother, and she understood the words to my master next to her, then said to her husband, We will go. Separate the dialogue, where there is between it, and in the grapes, the branch of Hussein al-Sab, but no one liked him, and he returned to the roads hard. You hear a drowsy voice saying, From there. To see Hussein's mother, Tien. In the house of the father of Hussein, the writer of the diet, the women stood around Hussein's bed, looking at each other in confusion and anxiety. The mother's statements were clear that she had been exhausted and that she could not continue to bear the pain. Severe situation. The midwife, who often assisted the women of the village during childbirth, said, I am not disappointed. I want someone to help me. Go Hussein. Chase the situation. The doctor. Shaitan was the combined unit that contained the school, the doctor's office, and a sedative. At the outskirts of the village, and tales of orcs had prevented the children from going to the unit at night, but Hussein, quickly as an arrow, in the darkness, went to the gathered unit, where the medical clinic united, and above it the doctor's dwelling. The hour was approaching 10 at night, however. Hussein was still running until he reached the clinic, and he saw a wall shining from behind the glass of its window, and he felt comfortable. The doctor must be present, and he did not go that night to the Sheikh village. And Hussein knew the owner of the voice. It was the exhibition, Uncle Rabi. Hussein said to himself, Rabi's uncle, the nurse, is not usually keen to stay in the clinic, unless the doctor is present. He shouted, Go up to the doctor, Uncle Rabi. My mother is very ill. She is giving birth and her condition is difficult. The doctor must see her in the case. The nurse opened the clinic door, peered out from the opening of the door, and said, still resisting drowsiness, all women in the country give birth without a doctor. Why does your father need a doctor? The nurse came out of the door and stood in front of Hussein, then rubbed his eyes and said, the doctor is not there. He will stay tonight in his house in the village of Sheikh Fadl. There is another woman who needs his attention. He went to her in his car before sunset. Your mother can wait until morning. No worry. But Hussein was very worried. He was aware that his mother's condition would not wait until morning, so he shouted in a rush, I am afraid, Uncle Rabia, my mother's condition. Dangerous. Rabia's uncle fell asleep again, and withdrew into the clinic, saying in impatience, the night is very dark, and the road to Sheikh Fadl is full of graves and demons. Go and sleep, my son, may God guide you, and leave me alone, as age is expensive. 12. Hussein found himself alone in the darkness outside the clinic door, his ears, eyes and nerves pierced by the words, cemeteries and demons. I felt his limbs tremble. Hussein stood, his feet not moving in front of the clinic door. He often pretended to ridicule tales of the goblins. He and Ouija were his best friends, repeating the words of Hussein's father, the worst of the goblins is the son of Adam. Only Hussein was able to hold himself together, and said, encouraging himself, the real courage is to go to get the doctor now from the village of Sheikh Fadl, not to take part in the theft of Uncle Tawfiq's gardens. And if the white or black imp appears to me, I recite Ayat al-Kursi, so he flees without a haul. Proof of his bravery and masculinity. Finally, he whispered to himself, I go home first, for I have. My mother's condition may have improved. He hurriedly ran towards the house. At the door, the maternity was standing, worried. It seems clear on her face. And as soon as she saw Hussein approaching, she shouted at him, where is the doctor? Why didn't he come with you? In a voice filled with a sense of the seriousness of the situation, Hussein said, Doctor. Sheikh. The boy was surprised by the birth woman slapping her cheek with her palm, and saying in panic, what a calamity. At the same moment, the wife of al-Makdish Barsoum, the grocer, left the house, and shouted at the Mawlid, Hussein will die. She will not bear this pain. Until morning. Hussein hesitated, and his mind caught on what he would need on that dark road next to the tombs, heading to Sheikh Fadl. So he entered the house, took a stick, and put in his pocket a box of matches and papers from an old newspaper, for he heard that orcs are afraid of light and fire.